And even our biggest star in the league, Caitlin Clark, is only making a base salary of around 76. It seems like she's probably going to make more money overseas in EuroLeague than she did during this WNBA season.
Remember when everyone was talking about how Caitlin Clark was going to change the WNBA forever? Well, things just took a wild turn. Instead of dominating US courts, Clark's taking her talents to Europe. And the WNBA? They're losing it. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. But here's the thing. This isn't just about basketball. It's about respect, money, and a league that couldn't handle its own star power. If you've ever felt underappreciated or pushed around at work, you'll get why Clark made this move. Let's dive into the drama and see what it means for the future of women's sports.
She's been playing like a top 5 player in the league. She's been regularly dishing out double-digit assists in that time frame.
Caitlin Clark has set the all-time single-season assist record with 317 and counting.
It is wildly impressive, and there are even potentially more records to come.
Remember when Caitlin Clark stepped onto that WNBA court for the first time? The whole basketball world was watching, holding their breath. This wasn't just any rookie debut. Clark's college career was mind-blowing. She shattered records left and right, leaving everyone thinking she'd dominate the pros from day one. But things didn't go exactly as planned. Clark struggled in her first few games. It was like watching a high school star trying to keep up with seasoned pros. Her shots weren't falling, her passes were a bit off, and suddenly, people started wondering if the hype was real. Let's break down her stats. She's leading rookies in points, which is impressive, but her shooting percentage, not so hot. It's like she's got the right idea, but the execution isn't quite there yet. Some veterans started talking, saying Clark wasn't ready for the big leagues. They thought she needed more time to adjust to the faster, more physical game. But here's the thing about Clark. She's not backing down. She's adjusting her game, working on her defense, and showing why she was such a big deal in college. It's like watching a puzzle piece trying to find its fit in a new picture. She's not the same player she was in college, but she's becoming something new. You want to know the real stat that matters? Clark is leading all rookies in assists. She's making her teammates better. It's like she's got eyes in the back of her head, finding open players that no one else sees. This isn't just about her scoring anymore. It's about her elevating the entire team. And you know what's wild? This is just the beginning. Clark's learning curve is steep, but so is her potential. It's like watching a caterpillar turn into a butterfly. Right now, she's still in that awkward cocoon stage, but you can see glimpses of the player she's going to become.
So, Caitlin Clark broke the all-time assist record yesterday.
The facilitation that Caitlin Clark has, I think, is one of the more underrated skill sets.
All-time scoring record in a tournament. Yes, Caitlin Clark played one more game than Cheryl Swoops, but she took less shots than Cheryl Swoops, so...
Think about it. She's already making waves, and she's nowhere near her peak. Imagine what she'll be like in a year, 2 years, 5 years. It's scary to think about how good she could be. The WNBA hasn't seen anything like her before, and they're still trying to figure out how to handle her. As the WNBA adjusts to Clark's presence, a different kind of adjustment is happening on the hardwood. Remember when basketball was about finesse and skill? Well, Clark's experiencing a whole new ball game, one where every drive to the hoop feels like running a gauntlet. Is this the evolution of women's basketball, or has the physicality gone too far? You won't believe what went down in that game against the Chicago Sky. It was like watching a wrestling match on a basketball court. The WNBA's always been known for tough play, but with Clark, it's on a whole new level. We're talking elbows flying, bodies crashing, and refs looking the other way. Picture this. Chennedy Carter comes out of nowhere and blindsides Clark with a shoulder check that would make an NFL linebacker proud. And the refs? They barely blinked. It was just another day at the office for them. But for Clark, it was a wake-up call to the brutal reality of pro basketball.
Who broke the rookie scoring record for a season yesterday when she dropped 35 points en route to a 110-109 victory over the Dallas Wings. Caitlin Clark has personally received 17% of the flagrant fouls. called.
Now, let's break it down. Clark's been on the receiving end of 177% of the league's flagrant fouls. That's not just rough play, that's targeting. It's like she's got a bullseye on her back, and every player in the league is taking aim. Some folks are saying the league's gone too far. They're worried Clark's going to get seriously hurt if this keeps up. Others, they say Clark needs to toughen up, that this is just part of the game. It's like there's two completely different versions of basketball being played on the same court. But here's where it gets wild. The Chicago Tribune didn't pull any punches, they called it assault. And get this, a congressman actually got involved. It's not every day you see politicians weighing in on basketball fouls, but that's how crazy this situation has become. The WNBA's in a tough spot now. They want to protect their new star, the player who's bringing in all those viewers and ticket sales. But they also don't want to change the game that's been their identity for years. It's like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and something's gotta give. You know what's even crazier? This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about how we see women's sports as a whole. Are we okay with a league where the biggest stars are getting knocked around like pinballs? Or do we want to see a game where skill and finesse are the main attractions? Hold up though. Before we decide what kind of game we want to see, we need to ask, are people even watching? Clark's debut was a blockbuster, but the sequel? Let's just say it's complicated, and the numbers tell a story no one saw coming. Imagine this.
She is the Michael Jordan. Like, I know you're not a major basketball
Him, I
person, but she is the Michael Jordan of female basketball.
Out with Caitlin Clark playing, 2.12 million on May 14th, 1.71 million on
2.1 million people glued to their screens, watching a rookie's first pro game. That's what Clark did. It was like the whole country stopped to see if she could live up to the hype. The WNBA thought they'd struck gold. Clark was supposed to be their golden goose, the one who'd pack arenas and send ratings through the roof. But after that first game, the numbers started dropping faster than a basketball through a hoop.
Caitlin Clark is a box office draw, while the rest of the WNBA, it is nothing but a polished turd.
The WNBA ratings, now that Caitlin Clark has been eliminated from the playoffs, without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA ratings have plummeted.
We're talking a nosedive from 2.1 million viewers to just 333,000 in a few weeks. That's like going from a sold-out arena to a high school gym. What happened? Some folks are pointing fingers at the Indiana Fever. They're saying the team's just too bad to watch, even with Clark on the roster. It's like having a Ferrari stuck in a traffic jam. Others think it's because the league isn't protecting Clark enough. Who wants to tune in to see their new favorite player get knocked around? But here's the twist that's got everyone talking. Even with those lower ratings, Clark's still pulling in more viewers than most WNBA games ever have. It's like she's single-handedly keeping the league afloat. Her games are getting almost 5 times the audience of a regular WNBA matchup. That's huge.
35 at home, 15,000 on the road. Attendance for the entire league up nearly 50% this year, according to data, the Indiana Fever. All right, with Caitlin Clark, led the league in attendance both home and on the road.
Now the WNBA's at a crossroads. Do they change things up to keep Clark in the spotlight? Maybe tweak the rules, protect her more, give her more airtime? Or do they let her adapt to the league, even if it means losing some of those casual fans who tuned in for the hype? You know what's really interesting about all this? It's not just about Clark anymore. It's about the future of the whole league. The WNBA's been around for over 25 years, but they've never had a star quite like this. They're in uncharted territory, trying to figure out how to build a league around a player who's bigger than the game.
The WNBA has seen record-breaking numbers this season. Indiana Fever are pretty much blowing out every other team. They are averaging almost 16,000 per 39 game.
Just when you thought Clark was the WNBA's only hope, a familiar face enters the chat. Angel Reese is here, and she's not backing down. Could their rivalry be the secret weapon the league desperately needs? Let's talk about Angel Reese. Remember her? She and Clark have a history that's hotter than a summer blacktop, and now it's spilling over to the pros. These two faced off in college, and it wasn't just any old game. It was intense, personal, and everyone was glued to their screens. Now they're both in the WNBA, and things are heating up faster than a microwave burrito. You won't believe what happened after that rough foul on Clark. Reese didn't just stand by, she jumped right in to defend her teammate. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire that was already burning bright. But this isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about personality, style, and who gets to be the face of women's sports. Clark's got that sharp-shooting, media-friendly star power. She's the girl next door who just happens to be able to drain threes from half court. But Reese, she's taking a whole different approach. She's embracing the villain role, and fans are eating it up like candy. It's like watching a superhero movie, but on a basketball court. Here's where it gets good. The Fever and Sky are set to clash 2 more times this month. The league couldn't have planned it better if they tried. It's like they've got front row seats to the best show in town, and they didn't even have to lift a finger. This rivalry could be exactly what the WNBA needs to keep people watching all season. Think about it. Every time these two step on the court together, it's not just a game. It's an event. It's appointment viewing. People who've never watched a WNBA game in their lives are suddenly setting reminders on their phones. You know what's wild? Clark and Reese might not like each other, but they're both making women's basketball must-see TV. It's like they're two sides of the same coin, pushing each other to be better, to play harder, to draw more eyes to the sport. They're writing a new chapter in WNBA history, and we're all along for the ride. So here we are. Caitlin Clark's WNBA journey just started, but she's already flipping the script. Who would have thought one rookie could cause this much drama? The league's scrambling, fans are divided, and everyone's wondering what's next. But let's be real. The big question isn't if Clark can handle the WNBA, it's if the WNBA can handle Clark. She's not just a player, she's a whole new era. And the league, they're playing catch-up. One thing's for sure, women's basketball will never be the same. Clark's changing the game, on and off the court. And whether you love her or hate her, you can't ignore her. The WNBA's got a superstar on their hands. Now they just need to figure out what to do with her.